Hey everybody, this is Perrin from nichepursuits.com, and today I'm going to show you the top secret, ultra powerful keyword research techniques I've used to become a millionaire. I'm just kidding, but really they're pretty good. So listen up. A lot of people have been asking about this, especially since we have kind of moved away from niche sites and towards bigger authority sites. We get this question all the time, how do I do keyword research for authority sites? And mostly it's just the same, and you can get by with the same kinds of techniques that you have been using for niche sites and just expand them. But there are some more powerful techniques that you can use to get a bigger volume of keywords and really make yourself a better fit for the market based on more robust research. So that's what I'm going to show you today. It's super powerful. I use it all the time. And usually when I combine a tool like SEM Rush with Longtail Pro, I have absolutely no problem getting hundreds of different keywords. Good keywords too, not crappy keywords, but hundreds of different really great keywords. And I think I've mentioned on the blog a couple of times that when we started the authority project for niche pursuits, we had almost 1,000 words before we even started writing. So this is a really powerful technique, and I want to show you how to do it. So the tool we're going to be talking about is SEM Rush. It's at semrush.com. It's a really powerful tool. It's a third-party tool, and it basically just gives you a bunch of data for any website on the internet that has been around for a sufficient amount of time and gets traffic and that sort of thing. So you can see all kinds of data on here, like traffic, obviously, backlinks. You can find competitors. You can see advertising competition, the percentage of traffic that comes from paid search versus organic search. So it's really powerful. What I like to use it a lot for, and what we're going to be talking about today, is keyword research. And really, I think that is the best function of this tool, is to do really advanced keyword research. And when you combine it with Longtail Pro, it's probably the best possible keyword research tool / technique at your disposal, just because you're going to find so many keywords that you would have never thought of, and also you're going to find way more keywords that you just would never have a prayer of finding otherwise. Plus you'll be able to see what's working for other people, which is something that we always want to try to do in any business. We want to kind of ride the coattails of other people's successes instead of just guessing, right? So SEM Rush lets us do that. And I'm going to try to walk you through the actual keyword research technique that I use from start to finish and show you some examples along the way so that you can hopefully use this yourself. So let's get started. The first thing we want to do is find a list of seed competitors. And that's because SEM Rush is really a competition research tool. You're going to be looking at your competition and finding data. So you have to find competitors. For a smaller niche site, or for an authority site that is just starting out, you really want to be looking at medium-sized competitors first, but you also want to have some really great big sites in the bag to look at later. But when you start to look at competition, you want to look at sites that have sort of an achievable level of authority for you, so that you know that whatever is working for them, you can probably make work for your own site. So here's how I do that. The first thing I like to do is take any keyword in that niche that blogs in your niche will probably be trying to rank for. So our example keyword here, and I'll zoom this in a little bit, is best hunting rifle. The reason I chose this is because it's not something you can buy on Amazon, and inevitably whatever keyword I choose is something that people are going to go try to build a site around, just because that's how some enterprising niche pursuits readers operate. So I tried to pick something that you can't buy online, so maybe I'll have swindled you guys. I don't know, probably not. So let's start there. I like to type in some obvious keyword. I don't care how competitive it is. I'm not trying to rank for it particularly. I just want to find blogs that would be trying to rank for this type of keyword, because theoretically this is the type of keyword that I might want to rank for. So I'll type it into Google, and I will turn on my Moz bar. And after all that data comes up, I'm mostly going to be looking at the DA, the domain authority. So for medium-sized sites, most of the time the DA is going to be between like 35 and 50, or like 40 and 50, and that's where I would expect my domain authority to be after like 12 months or 18 months. So I'm looking for those types of sites. I also want to look for just a few bigger sites, and I would judge a large site as any site with a domain authority of like 60 or more. So if we look at the results here, we can see that the first result is definitely a large site. This is outdoorlife.com. This is a DA65 site. Obviously, I know that this is going to be a very large blog with tons and tons of articles, and I might just automatically stick that in my pocket as one of my larger competitors, and I can emulate down the road, right? Some of these other ones look pretty good, though, for medium-sized sites. We have Peterson's Hunting, which is ranking for best hunting rifles for 2014. And that's a really good indicator anyway, because I know that with this type of title, they are looking at keyword research, and they care about keyword research. They're optimizing their pages for keywords. So they're probably going to be a keyword-rich site that I can draw a lot of stuff from. Here's another one. It's a DA45, chuckhawks.com. Some more bigger sites. Guns and Ammo is a magazine. I know that's going to be a pretty big site. Browning looks like a store. And generally when you're looking for competitors, you want to stay away from stores because it's just going to end up being confusing when you look at their keywords. They're going to be ranking for lots of e-commerce keywords. And we know from experience that e-commerce keywords are deceptively difficult to rank for. So we want to kind of stay away from those. Here's another good one, a DA44, NorthAmericanWhitetail.com. Fieldandstream.com is a big authority site that I might put in my back pocket. It's like a DA71. And usually you only need to go 2 pages deep-ish to find some of these sites, right? So here's another one you can see that I already clicked on, a DA43. Like a low 40s site that has plenty of pages of content is a really good target to start your research. So I think this is the one that we are going to use as an example. So let's just click through a couple that I found. This is outdoorlife.com. This is the big one, DA65. This is a DA48 hunting site. It doesn't particularly look like a store. It looks like a website of a magazine. So you know that they're basically going to have informational articles, and that's fine. This is a really old site. Excuse me. It looks like some guy named Chuck. It's his site. And that's fine. If it's an old site and it's still up and it's got a DA45 with almost 1,000 linking root domains, you know it's got to have some value in it, and he's probably ranking for lots of keywords. So that's cool. And then here are some other ones. North American Whitetail. I really like the look of this site. This is looks like maybe a socially driven site or a site of a magazine. But they're also going to be ranking for lots of keywords if they are this big. So I think the one that I want to use is North American Hunter. And I just picked one at random really, but I like sites in the low DA40s as my start, or to start my research. And what I'm going to call this is my seed competitor, because as you're going to see in SEM Rush, you'll be able to find a lot more competitors. But we have a nice handful of sites here. Let me see. We have like, I don't know, 10 or something. So this is a good place to start. If you didn't have this many, it's totally fine. Even if you had like 2 or 3 or 5 or something, it would be totally fine, because with SEM Rush, there's a tool inside the software that will help you find competitors, and I will show you that. So here I have plugged in AmericanHunter.org into SEM Rush as an example, and I've already looked at this beforehand, so I kind of know what's coming. But and I'll just walk you through what this looks like. Okay, there's a little break in the video because I had some problems loading the site, but this is what the overview would look like for any site. You're going to see the organic traffic, the paid traffic, the number of backlinks, etc. And you can click on any one of these things to evaluate them. One of the things that I do like to look for on my competitors, or when I'm looking at a competitor, is to look at the daily traffic And you get that by clicking on the 1 month icon here, and then you can scroll over and see how much traffic there is, and it looks like they're getting between like 15,000 and 20,000 visits a day. And that's like a medium to large site is how I would estimate that. Excuse me. So it's a pretty big site. You know they're going to be ranking for a lot of keywords, and in fact, if you go up 2 positions, which is what the keyword category is called here, you can see that they're ranking for 3,800 keywords, which is really good. So if you scroll down, and this is important, you can see this site's main competitors. And that's really important if you only found a couple of competitors on your own. You can see all of the websites that they are competing with. And if you look at these, you can see that we found some of them. We found NorthAmericanWhitetail.com, we found PetersonHunting.com, but we didn't find some of these other ones, right? Like BowHuntingMag.com, HuntersFriend.com, and this last one, DeerandDeerHunting.com. We hadn't found those yet. So even if we hadn't found a bunch of competitors, or we only found one website that we liked, we can see all of the competition for that website. Excuse me. And then with this competitive positioning map, you can see those top competitors, and it puts a little blob on the site so that you can see how big they are relative to each other traffic-wise. So it's a really useful tool, this competition map and this main competitors list, to find other websites that you can basically steal keywords from, right? So even if you only find one, you have these competitors to look at. And that's really important because as you start building your site, you want to emulate the success of other sites. That's just a good business strategy. And this is one really great way to find those people to emulate. If you're growing and your site is getting bigger and you want some bigger competitors, all you would have to do is plug in one of those big sites like OutdoorLife.com and see who their competition is and look at their competition map and steal their keywords, right? So that's kind of an overview of some of the data. There's obviously just tons and tons of different data points here, but that's one of the that's an overview of how SEM Rush basically works and how you can find competitors. So let's look at this site's keywords, because this is one of the most important things, and this is kind of what we really want to talk about, right? So if you are using SEM Rush and you look at the keywords, you can see all of the keywords that this site is ranking for. The even cooler part of this is that it ranks them based on the percentage of traffic that particular keyword is bringing in. So obviously that is really, really valuable. And when I mentioned this before, but you can see here, there are just tons and tons of keywords to look at. 3,822 keywords that you could possibly look at. You almost never have to look at all of those keywords. But it should be clear now that finding 100 keywords is like a walk in the park when you're using this method, right? So let's kind of look at how to do that and how I like to do that and how I prefer to judge keywords. And then some things that may not seem as intuitive that have worked really well for me in the past. So there are 3 different things that you want to look for in any of these keywords to judge whether or not you want to use them yourself, right? So the first thing is obviously anything that they are ranking for that also looks good in Longtail Pro. So for example, if I was scrolling through this keyword list, one of the things that might stick out to me is this keyword down here, good deer hunting rifle. And really a lot of these look like fantastic keywords, but just as an example, good deer hunting rifle might look like a pretty good one, right? They're ranking number 1 for it. It has decent monthly search volume at 320. It's bringing in a good percentage of the traffic. So that might look like a pretty good one to me. To double check, I might plug it into Longtail Pro, and I can immediately see, yeah, this is a really great keyword. A keyword competitiveness of 16 is almost as low as I've ever seen. I think, like 13 is probably the lowest, but 16 is a very, very, very low competition keyword. You can see almost none of the pages have juiced page links. The page authority for a lot of these is fairly low, although 1 usually means that there's not enough data. It doesn't mean that it's a really low keyword. And a couple of these don't have page rank or have a page rank of 0 or 1. So this looks like a really good keyword. And usually for authority sites, I'm much more lenient on keywords because you're planning to build a site that will be around for multiple years and have a fairly high domain authority. So you can usually go after some pretty big words or some bigger keywords. And with the smaller keywords, you can kind of loosen up your metrics. So you can go after keyword that seems slightly more competitive or whatever. The idea is that it's not a 15-page niche site, right? So you're building a site that eventually will have lots of authority, and so you can go after some bigger keywords. That brings us to the next thing. You want to pay special attention to the keywords that they're ranking in the first spot for. So here you can see that they're ranking #1 for plenty of different keywords. Best compound bow, American Hunter is their brand, but best compound bows, best deer rifle for hunting, beaver meat, that's a fun one. Deer hunting with .223 with a 22 caliber rifle probably. Top compound bows. So they're ranking #1 for quite a few of these. Since their DA is in the low 40s and that's an achievable DA, without doing anything else, you can be pretty sure that if you wrote a great article with SEO optimized content with really good on-page SEO and you sent some good either internal or external links to that page, you could rank pretty well for that keyword. And at the very least, you would capture a lot of these long tails because you know someone else is already having success with it, right? So the second thing I like to look for is keywords that are, or that your competition, are ranking #1 for, because that's a really strong quality signal to me that I could possibly rank for that keyword, right? The third thing I like to look at, and actually let's look at one of those. So let's look at this one, beaver meat. This is the page that it goes to, and that's another tip too, is that you can always go look at these pages to see how competitive the keyword really is or what kind of content they are writing to rank for that particular keyword. So this is the keyword beaver meat. They're ranking #1 for this. This is a 300 search volume keyword. It's getting a very good percentage of the traffic. 85% of 1%, or 0.8% is a lot of traffic for a site that's getting, 15,000 visits a day or something. So ranking #1 for this keyword is obviously pretty profitable. So if we look at that page, we can see that this isn't even a beaver meat page. There's like one paragraph on beaver meat. There are maybe 500 words total. The title doesn't have beaver meat in it. The URL doesn't have beaver meat in it. So that is probably a pretty easy keyword. They're ranking #1 for it. Their page is relatively weak, and it's still bringing in quite a bit of traffic. So go look at those things too. If they're ranking #1 and it's on a fairly weak page and you know you can beat them on page, then it's probably a good keyword for you. And the last thing is kind of my secret sauce. And this is, if there is a secret to this technique, this is probably my biggest secret. And that is to look for keywords that they are ranking poorly for, that are still bringing in significant traffic. Usually these are going to be keywords that are fairly weird to you as you are researching stuff. They're going to have major search volume. They're usually going to be ranking around page 2, sometimes on the bottom of page 2, or usually either the top or the bottom of page 2. And they're still going to be bringing in significant traffic here. And there's a really good example on this search results, or on this result of keywords rather, this list of keywords. So see if you can find it. You can pause the video and see if you can find it. But for everybody else, that keyword in this list, and there are lots more of those types of keywords for this site, but on this list, it's this keyword nozzler. I have no idea what a nozzler is, and I would never think to search for the keyword nozzler because to me it sounds like a Harry Potter monster. I don't know, right? But it looks like it meets the requirement of these big profitable keywords that can bring you lots of traffic even if you're not on the first page, right? So here's how it kind of meets the criteria. Is it kind of a weird keyword? Yeah, it is. I would never think to search for it. And that's not a like super strict criteria, but it's a good quality signal. Are they ranking on the second page? Yes, they are. They're number 13. Is there lots of search volume? Yeah. There's 18,000 searches a month. That's way over 5 figures. It's not like a ton. It's not absurd, but it's a lot of search volume. Definitely bigger than any of these other keywords that are bringing them their most traffic, right? And then is it bringing them a lot of traffic? Yes, it is. It's bringing 0.9% of their total traffic. And you may not think that sounds like a lot, but for a site that's getting 15,000 visits a day, this is bringing them 4,000 visits per month. To put that in perspective, they are on page 2, and or the ranking number 13, and they're still getting 4,000 visits a month from this keyword. That tells me that that is a very profitable keyword, or lots of people are searching for that. Lots of people really want information on that. Plus, if we look at the page, it's also fairly weak. It's about a nozzler, but there's not a ton of information, right? This is a page that we can emulate. It's certainly a page that we can expand on. It's a page we can probably beat. And even if this keyword looked competitive in Longtail Pro, it would be because the top 10 results look really competitive. But it will certainly be less competitive on the second page. For most keywords, it's not too terribly difficult to rank on the second page, especially if you are an authority site. So these are often keywords that people just don't go for, right? Because they look way too hard. But they can still be really profitable even if you're on the second page. So those are my 3 types of keywords that I'm looking for. Keywords that look good in Longtail Pro, and all you have to do is copy and paste these. You have 3,000 of them, right? Just copy and paste these into Longtail Pro and see what comes up. If you copy and paste 3,000 words into Longtail Pro over the course of a weekend, you will surely find 100 keywords you can use. I also like to look at keywords where they're ranking number 1, 2, or 3. Those are probably pretty easy to keywords to rank for, if their DA is in the low 40s anyway. And you can go look at those pages and see if it's a page that you think you can beat with on-page SEO. So keywords that they're ranking for well, that have weak pages especially, right? And then lastly, these big keywords that are still bringing in lots of traffic, even though they're not ranking on the first page. Those are usually great keywords. So that's kind of my strategy here. You obviously want to stay away from some of the stuff that you would normally stay away from, like e-commerce keywords, anything related to spam, obviously. Stuff that you would normally be careful for here too. And this technique will change if you start to look at bigger sites. And that's only because the higher a site's DA is, the easier it is for that site to rank for any given keyword. So as you start looking at bigger sites, the stuff that they are ranking really well for becomes more deceptive, and you have to dig a little bit deeper. But that's what you have Longtail Pro for. So take this and run with it. Find 5 or 6 medium-sized competitors in the DA 40s or so, and see what they're ranking for, and go steal all their keywords. And then as you grow, find a couple big boys and go after their keywords. And then use Longtail Pro to find keywords that even they're not ranking for. But overall, it's a very, very good strategy. It's a strategy we used at Niche Pursuits when we started our authority project to find almost 1,000 keywords, which is an insane amount of keywords. I mean, that's going to take us like 3 years to write, and we are adding 3,000 words a day. So, finding that many keywords will keep you busy for a really, really, really long time. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm going to attach this video to a really big blog post explaining a few more of these things in detail. But go try it, sign up for SEM Rush, and find yourself a whole bunch of money keywords. Alrighty, I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.